Hey guys. So in this video, I wanted to share an experience that happened with me this morning at work today. So I'm an RN case manager. So that means that I go and do visits with patients in their homes. And it's a more autonomous job as far as scheduling things go. So you have to schedule with your patients as far as like the visits go. But at the beginning of the day, like every single day, Monday through Friday, there is a like Teams huddle meeting that me and my coworkers usually have. And so when it comes to having appointments at work, most of the time what we do is we schedule our appointments, like whether it's counseling, doctor's appointment, or whatever, around our visits and meetings. So normally this daily huddle, it starts at like 8:15 and it's usually like 5 to 10 minutes. So then usually like today I had a counseling session scheduled virtually from like 8:30 to 9:30 because like I said, most of the time the huddle is 5 to 10 minutes. And this happened to be one of those times where it was almost 30. It went over. And some of the patients I had to see that day had like IV stuff, like IV antibiotics and meds and stuff. And I had no orders, I had no paperwork. Like, and I'm just like, I kind of need that stuff. So I needed to bring that up at the meeting. That said, part of me was thinking I could leave the meeting and try and catch them before I go and see the patient, even though it was my very first patient. Like I would have had to be there by like 10 o'clock. Which would not have given me enough time. So what I ended up doing instead was I texted my therapist when it was close to 8:30, letting them know like it was going to be it. Hopefully I was still in the meeting and hopefully it'd be done in like 10 minutes. And it ended up going a little over 10 minutes, like finished at 8:42. And I got a text from my counselor saying, like, thanks for letting me know. But unfortunately, after 10 minutes, they have to consider it a no-show. And so then I lost my counseling session for today. Um, and even though I had another one set up for next week at the same time, I felt extremely frustrated. Like it was an intensity that I felt didn't really match the situation, but like it would not go away. It was just like I felt a pressure in the back of my neck, like energetically, muscly probably too, but energetically. And I felt compressed. I felt really frustrated. And I felt very retaliatory. Like I was really like there was a part of me that really wanted to be like, okay, these sessions at 8:30 won't work. Like, and we've had me and this counselor have had like several conversations. That 8:30 to 9:30 time slot, just for like background, is the only time slot that that counselor has available that works with my schedule. Um, because with this sort of job, the best time to do appointments and still be able to meet your productivity for visiting patients is either way early in the morning or in the evening, or if they offer weekends, the weekends. And our schedules don't really match up for anything other than like 8:30 to 9:30. And I was really like, I was frustrated. I felt hurt and I felt really bummed out because I like this therapist. Like I like her style. It works really well with where I'm at right now in my own life. And on top of that, I'd been changing therapists like every 2 months all year due to either therapists changing practices, leaving the practice, going on maternity leave and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to have to go and do this again. Um, And anytime it came to having this, either this appointment on a work day, or really any other appointment on a work day, I found that I would feel this like compression and I would feel really restricted, like I don't have a lot of time. And I felt really uncomfortable communicating to my work that I had an appointment at a certain time, kind of thing. And so I realized that I was frustrated that my counselor set a boundary and enforced it, and frustrated with myself because I did not listen to that inner voice and leave the meeting at 8:30 and go and log in to my counseling session. You know, it was kind of like on both areas there. And what I realized is that I was avoiding, a part of me at least was trying to avoid setting boundaries. And that's been something that I've had issues with for a long time. But what I realized, because of how intense and how defensive I felt from like a simple boundary being set kind of thing, and me not setting my own with my job, was that it's almost like I was looking at boundaries as like a shield or an attack, like a defense or an attack. Like, like I felt like I had to defend myself for being a no-show, even though like I was actually there and ready. And I also felt frustrated because I was ready to have my counseling session and I really was looking forward to it and I needed it. Now, what ended up happening in that space of time instead, since I didn't have my counseling with my actual therapist, I just ended up processing how I was feeling and what I was thinking. I felt like I had to make a decision right away. Like I felt really impulsive, like I said. And it turned into a session with God, a therapy session with God, because I felt this like space around me. Like I felt like, you hear people say, like, when you speak God or spirit or the goddess or whatever word you use, the universe is listening. But like, I actually felt that, like, I could feel that space, that listening space this go around. So it wasn't just a concept in my mental head this go around. So it was really helpful, but that frustration stuck with me all fucking day. Like, and the funny thing is, work was, from my perspective, if I was not feeling frustrated, I would think work was more of a train wreck that day than the counseling thing. But the counseling thing, like, scenario, is what got me all wrapped up in my head. And so what I am starting to open up to is the fact that when someone sets a boundary, it doesn't have to be like a defense. Like my mind initially, like it goes to, when I try to set a boundary, I say try. Sometimes I can do it and it's fine. But oftentimes I would try and set a boundary. And what I really was doing was putting up like a defense shield from the other person. Like I'm fearing some sort of attack, which I get where I learned that from, with my childhood and all that. But it's not healthy and it's not helping me anymore. So what I realized is, by like, as I see people set boundaries with me or with other people, I'm seeing like like I'm able to see in some way that it's not an attack. It's literally just like, hey, this is my limit. And I still, conceptually, I have some understanding that a limit and a limitation is not the same thing, because someone once said that a boundary is a limit, not a limitation. And that resonates in my head, but like it is not sunk in as far as like what a limit looks like. I'm thinking like limitations, constrictions still. Um, so if any of you guys have an explanation on that, I would love to hear it. It might help that differentiation sink in a bit more. But I also noticed, like, when it came with boundaries, I was afraid to set them. And if, like, part of it was I felt like I was either putting up like a defensive wall or that I was attacking the other person. And then when the other person's like, oh, okay, like, they're just like, whatever. Or, if they actually weren't happy about it, it baffled me because I'm like, why don't they feel attacked? It's just like, it's interesting. It's really interesting. So I'm pretty sure that was the point of me sharing this video, is to remind myself that boundaries don't have to be a defense or an attack. And in fact, if I do end up trying to set one and it's a defense, or it's like more like retaliatory attacking, then it's not really I guess you could call it a boundary, but energetically, it's not really a boundary in the healthy sense. It's more of a defense or an attack kind of thing. Mainly defense. And it's like, I will say it does feel soothing for my mind. And then I'll be done with this video, that I don't have to defend myself, be a doormat, or attack someone to set a boundary. Because I had a lot of self-criticism and judgment when I felt like I was attacking someone, even if that was not actually the case, and it just, that shit's draining, So, yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you for listening. And if you didn't, thank you for listening anyway. I'll see you guys in another video.